I've worked about 5 days and didn't run the camera because I just didn't have time. Wintertime's coming. The extended forecast is rain from now till Easter. And even though that's an exaggeration, I just had to get all of the sort of the top dressing on everything and get ready to try to pass a natural gas inspection tomorrow, I hope. But in the meantime, this is essentially landscaping work. We had an hour of rain this morning, just enough to make everything sticky, but I think I'm going to get it under control, or at least I hope that I do. Let me catch up on some of what I got kind of wrapped up. Here's the sewer clean out by the highway. The tap is out there underneath that uncompacted dirt. There's the clean out, not centered, but frankly, Scarlett, it's okay. Over here is the water meter, refurbished, put some steps down there so the poor meter reader doesn't have to slip and slide. This is what I've been doing to the exposed earth. Got this pile of dirt taken out, getting the driveway back under control. Now we're going to throw some wood chips on the side of the road where next week Quality Fence Greg Reitman is going to be running the fence line out to the gate post, which was pretty much what precipitated this whole ordeal anyway. Well, it's time to take down the last traces of protection from the wild deer. But I think they're not going to descend upon me because things are green now. It's the 1st of November, and they don't feel drawn to the only patch of green for a long ways roundabout. And if a few get in here over the next couple of weeks, so be it. I'm going to take this down, wad it up, take the steel to the recycle yard, pull the posts, and get ready for Greg Reitman to come in with his boys and tie in the last bit of the chain link.
Now, typically, buying new cars or new trucks or new pieces of equipment has just not been my style. Hasn't been in my price range, and I like to let other people take the initial depreciation and then buy used equipment. But I decided a year and a half ago to buy this little 40 series Kubota because I knew these projects were coming up, this one and the one at my daughter's place, and I also knew that I am not a mechanic and I didn't want to have to fix something as complex as an excavator. In the rearview mirror, I think it was exactly the right decision because boy do I love this little machine, and boy has it saved me some money.
We've had days and days of rain, and the whole area turned into a swamp. But I had this particular spot, where I'm going to connect the yellow gas line to the iron gas line, covered with a tarp, so it's not too bad. It's a beautiful fall day. One of the other dynamics is, yesterday, Kelly had knee replacement surgery. So she's sleeping in the house. I'm paying attention to that. So I may or may not actually get this connection taken care of today. The other thing that's working against me is I don't know anything about these fittings, these fancy tools for chamfering the end of the yellow pipe to go on to the end of this riser. And so I'm just hoping that after I get it put together, it actually holds pressure. Time will tell. And if my bride wakes up, I'm going in. So part of what the instructions make clear is that the cuts are supposed to be square. So I'm counting on this gizmo. Make a nice square cut. And then this chamfering tool, I think this thing cost about 90 bucks. Is supposed to, if I understand it correctly, chamfer the inside and the outside of the pipe at the same time. You do that until it bottoms out, they say, which I assume means that it's rubbing against the housing itself. Take it off and look at it. And yep, it's chamfered inside and outside. So that's a try piece. Got to do the same thing to the real piece, which cannot be extended. The instructions also say if there are any deep gouges or scratches or anything, you need to clean it off and cut back to get away from the scratches, because you're counting on, as I get it, some kind of an O-ring in there with a shark bite equivalent fitting that it slips in and won't slip out. And I lack confidence, but here we go. So that was the end of the chamfer tool. which they tell me is a reference for embedment. The last one didn't quite go on that far, and I'm trying not to hyperventilate about that. Here's the fitting that it goes into. That stainless sleeve goes inside the pipe. And then there's some lubrication in there and some O-rings and who knows what. Should we see what happens? Here we go. Same as the other one. It's snapped on there. It won't go anymore. But I lack about 5/16 of getting on to the same point as the end of that chamfer tool. I hope that's not a problem, but I'm not gonna know, am I, until I pressure this up. So, full speed ahead. I don't know how much pipe dope to put on these things. There we go. Nasty.
It's so frustrating. As it turns out, somehow I lost the footage of installing the 3/4 inch black iron gas pipe under the house and then pressurizing the whole system up to 25 psi for 5 solid days. It held like a rock. So we passed the inspection with flying colors, got green tagged, and backfilled everything. What a relief.
It's time to let out the clutch on the fence and the gate because I have trimmed back the hedge, established a string line, and here comes Greg Reitman for the sort of final consultation before he mobilizes a crew. The fence goes in and I begin to actually order the steel and fabricate the gate.
These old concrete culverts came to me through a friend, Mike O'Shell, a couple of years ago. And as soon as I laid eyes on them, I knew that at least 2 of them were going to be used to protect these lawn hydrants.
So cutting those things off like that, I'm going to have 4 feet on one, 3'8" on the other. Going to get 2 foot of embedment on both of them. But the big one, the one with the bell end, is going to be sticking up in a higher traffic area where it might actually have to defend a hydrant against getting hit. So I committed a little more material to that, and these things are going to be happy and frost proof, I hope.
We've been short on outdoor water faucets around this place for a long time. So I'm putting in 5 yard hydrants. Now Phil has warned me that they are, or can be, an ongoing maintenance problem. But for convenience and for fire protection and just for toughness, I've long wanted to have them around here, and I hope that I don't regret this.
So that, my friends, was way more luck than good management. I'll show you that that pipe actually went into that notch just about right. So I've got this thing sitting on 3 little insignificant pieces of masonry. Perhaps you can see that. Old pavers. And the PEX comes right up through the notch. I'm going to try to shield that from that sharp cut edge. But that's close enough for me to brace this over plumb, throw a little gravel around the outside, get it nice and plumb, and then worry about filling the inside with the washed rock and putting the plumbing fittings in here as I put the hydrant in. I think this will be good. This is sticking out of the ground far enough to stop me from running into it with my truck, and it's low enough that the kids and grandkids and my bride will be able to use the hydrant, and I think it's going to make life better around here. We're going to do this a couple more times before it's over. I don't remember if we've talked about rigging chains before. These are some old kind of ratty, poorly proportioned rigging chains, but that is a slip hook. It'll slip on the line. And that is a grab hook. It grabs the chain. And when you've got a you know, a couple of rigging chains like that, there's just a lot you can do and very little that you can't. Better. Gonna pack a little more dirt around the backside of this thing, walk it in a little bit. Here's what we've got going on the inside. I'm going to put a 90 right here, put the ball valve down there, you know, something like that. It'll be a little bit close to the edge. I mean, it'll end up in here like that. But this is southwestern Oregon. It never freezes too bad. I think we're probably going to be fine. This is one of two places that a live or pressurized water line crosses another line in the work I've done here. And Phil tells me adamantly that there needs to be space between those two lines because moving water creates vibration, and two pipes in contact with each other and one vibrating is eventually going to cause either one or two big problems. So I've used sand over the top of the gas line, and I would expect that there's probably 3 inches of distance between the bottom of that PEX and the top of the gas. So if I can keep the concrete from bearing on anything there except dirt, I can't see how we're ever going to have any trouble here. The problem may well be in about 2 minutes that I can't get this thing in underneath the limb of that pear tree. This pear tree has caused almost nothing but complications. We don't even like pears around here. Could stand a little more clearance right there, but the concrete is not going to be pushing down on anything that we care about.
So I've learned that there are very few things more satisfying in life than to actually complete a long-anticipated project around the place that's going to improve the life and the quality of life for your people. And maybe you put it off because it's a big job, or there are things you would rather do that are more fun, or because you don't feel like you're up to the task. But at the end of the day, a few sore muscles just don't matter at all. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.